This video is going to explain what you need to do for your summative. It's all relative. This is called Got Evidence. You are going to make a pamphlet using a digital media tool. You can use Microsoft Publisher or some of the other ones that I put into the resource folder on Schoology. I'll go over that a little bit later in this video. You have the option to use those. You could use something else. I do not want something that is hand-drawn, a PowerPoint video, a video itself, a PowerPoint, a Prezi, any of those. I actually want a pamphlet, a physical booklet that you can make. You can even just do it simply in Microsoft Word, and as you can print it as a booklet type of ordeal. You would just save it as a PDF. So anyhow, in this, what we are going to do is you're going to use multiple types of evidence to explain evolution, to demonstrate the relatedness of humans between other different types of organisms. In addition to humans, you need to include at least 5 of the following organisms in your handbook. And with some of these, they need to include some fossil evidence, and they also need to include anatomically. So that would be their fossil records. And embryologically, and that is their embryos. We went over that with one of our labs, or evidence of evolution. You will need to research some of these. So that means that I'm not going to provide you the sources for this. You will need to go out through other means. With that being said, you will need to cite where you get that information from, and that citation must be in MLA formation, or format, I should say. So the part 2 is this is where you're going to be writing a little bit more into your pamphlet. If you want to write it underneath, or you want to write it in the back, or wherever you want to write it, that's okay. At least somewhere where I can read this and understand your justification for why you said the human is most likely related to a cow versus a chicken. What I said in some of my other classes would be a good idea to maybe do a chart. I will show you all of the DNA sequences, and you might can type those in and then kind of pair them together. All right, so part 2, you are going to justify the arrangement and relatedness of your organisms in your model. Describe how the provided biochemical data supports the relatedness. So therefore, you need to tell me how can you tell me that a chimp is related to a human? Well, that's very easy. You would look at the DNA and see that most of our DNA is lined up to the same DNA as a human, which means that we probably have a common ancestor. We've talked about this with some pieces of evidence in class during one of our labs. We also did this in the Stated Clearly video. You can always go back and look at those and kind of pull from there as well. In part 3, this is evaluate the different types of evidence and choose one you believe is the most effective in demonstrating the relatedness. So this is where you're going to explain to me either fossil evidence is going to be, I look at it and be like, yep, that's it. Either DNA, and I'm going to say, yep, that's it. Or this is embryologically, yep, that's it. You're going to elaborate and explain on that. You're going to have to research some of this information. I will show you in the second part of this video how, when we get into Schoology, exactly where to go for some of those resources, because I've already done some of the legwork for you. Okay, so once you are in Schoology, you will click on your weekly folder. From there, you will click this week, which is May 6th through May 17th. And then you should see, hopefully, a learning cycle summative Got Evidence folder as well. So click on that. In this folder, you will find some different types of resources. I'm going to go through these step by step. Obviously, this is your assignment, so that's going to just have the paper copies that I've handed out in class. This first piece is going to be your biochemical data sheet. So what you can do is, these are the different sequences of DNA for Homo sapien, zebrafish, and so forth. You can compare segments of hemoglobin gene sequence, putting it into this little link here. So you can copy and paste, put it in, and it would also tell you like some information. So that is the first part of evidence that you can use for the DNA. You can also use, what you should also be putting in is your fossil evidence. So here, this is where you're going to be talking about the similar bone structure that is the same. In our chimpanzee, as you notice, if you go down, look at the jaw lines, look at the skulls, the different types of structure, the hip bones. Remember in Lucy, one of the first things that they said that she had a shorter, flatter pelvis, which was more telling the scientists that she walked on 2 legs versus being a quadrupedal. So those are pieces of evidence that you could use as well. So this will be all in this folder, okay? From there, the last one that I also included was a resources guide. This is not really a guide, but it is some different types of online tools that you can use to create your pamphlet if you do not want to use Microsoft Publisher. If you have any questions, please reach out to me before Friday or email me on Schoology.